Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Game Day Squad's Women's Aussie Rules live show. Bailey is here for you all today. He's just experiencing some technical difficulties, so we'll get him back in on the stream in a second. But we're here today, of course, to talk about round 2 that is upcoming for the Women's Aussie Rules competition. And we're going to be going game by game, giving you our analysis, pulling up some numbers, and helping you get ready and get game day ready at that. So heaps on this show. Of course, we've got the game by game to help you all out. We've also got a giveaway that was run in our Discord by one of our fellow coaches, Fez, who's giving away a all-star Ebony Marinoff, maybe the best card in the game other than the Legend card, which is 1 of 1 for Game Day Squad. So if you are new around here, Game Day Squad is free to play, free to win. You can sign up and start your coaching journey. You get free packs each week, and it's just a dynasty platform where your team will continue to get better as you go along. And when will we draw? It's a great question. I reckon we will draw more towards the end. Let's get through the game-by-game analysis first, and then we'll draw our winner because I'm pumped. It's such a good card to get. And how you could enter is you had to be in the running prior to round 1. So make sure, if you haven't, joined Game Day Squad's Discord because that is how you can win. And it was posted on there. We had, I think, 30, nearly 40 people compete. And if I'm not mistaken, there's around 20 people who are in the chance and running tonight to win the Marinoff card. So let's get stuck into this episode. Let's shout out some of the top coaches, of course, for the first round. We have in our starter competition, Tash taking it out with 1,966 fantasy points for the round. That is a fantastic score, I must say. That nearly was enough to crack in the top 10 for the Classic, where, of course, you get a little bit more of a salary cap there to spread around. So in the Classic, the Oracle's 2,244. I feel like, I'm not sure what all of your thoughts are that are watching along, but I feel like last round was just a danger round with especially like Too Good being injured. We all know what happened there. So she's out from 6 to 8 weeks. It was devastating to see a couple people would have had Too Good in. And I have my good friend and co-host in Bales here checking in. Bales, how you going, mate? Welcome to the stream. We've hopefully ironed out some of those technical difficulties and we can keep you for the remainder.
Yeah, bloody internet. Oh, friggin' Telstra. Bloody Wi-Fi's down, so I have to use hotspot and then bloody trying to connect back to the Wi-Fi again. So had to press the forget network button or whatever. It's bloody absolute nightmare. But we're here, so yeah, we're here to chat some women's Aussie rules fantasy.
We absolutely are, mate, and no better time to do it. I was just shouting out some of our leaders for last week, just giving the Oracles the shout out there in Classic, and I was talking about how it was a bit of a round where there was a lot of pain for some players. You know, there's some players that had some high expectations that didn't perform, and then of course the too good trap as well. With if you started her, how unfortunate that was. A bit of friendly fire, as you would call it. So.
Yeah, I thought watching the internet, actually, I was sort of a bit like, at this point, I'm sort of, if I see players going back with a flight like that, I don't sort of see it necessarily as a good thing anymore. Like we all used to see it, like we used to see the big bumps as a good thing, like saying, "Oh, look how like big this bump is," or whatever. Whereas these days, I see someone going back with a flight like that, I'm thinking it's a bit more silly, bit more than anything, because you're gonna more likely injure yourself, but then injure other people as well. And not only did Amber Clark go down injured as well, and hopefully she's okay, but then obviously Bonnie Toogood, the captain's now out for the better part of 2 months. So it's yeah, not too great. But yeah, considering I had a gold Toogood in my classic side, I'm pretty happy to see my name sneaking in the bottom there of the classic comp, which is quite nice.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Absolutely. But you did quite well. You got in. I actually don't think that's an updated list now that I think about it. There was some corrections, but I think you finished 14th, if I'm not mistaken. But still, you had an extremely good round, irrespective.
Thanks, mate. Very much appreciated.
Yeah, but let's get into top coaches, challenger, champion. Here we go. 2,582 to take out the challenger, and then 2,821 to take out our champion. These are the best of the best for the round, and it was a fantastic round at that. No surprise with some of the names that you can see up there: Bower Power, Scrapers, Tony's Legends, Fez Monkeys. Yeah. But anyway,
bloody Fez. Just Fez, give us a chance, mate.
Well, he's hosted this giveaway that's going to be on later. So
yeah,
I just gave him. So he's the man. He's the man. Fez is going to help us out. But let's get into it. We have here a matchup matrix. This is, of course, only after one game. So these numbers are always going to be a little skewed. But I guess it still is an indication of how these teams did perform in round one and what we can expect in terms of fantasy potential. You've got the two players in here. You've gone two forwards at that and a pairing of Port forwards. So we'll talk about Houghton together. Why don't you get into Saint and the selection that you've made for her in this round?
Yeah, so it more comes down to the matchup. Like the matchup is really, really good. Obviously, we saw what the Giants did to the Dogs last week. I think Port could even be better than the Giants as a team. I think they've improved a lot. They were quite good against the Crows last week. Probably a little bit too close to comfort in terms of how close the game was. But yeah, so that's why I've sort of gone with both to sort of to hedge my bets, if that makes sense. So I think one of them will go big, and I think the other will go all right. And I think there's a chance both go big. And I know Dogs there are only mid-table, but I think this year they're going to be up there in terms of quite easy, especially for some key forwards with Lalauifi going out injured before the season even started. So, yeah, I know Houghton had a bit of a struggle last week, but I'll look at that and go the Crows, obviously one of the top sort of few teams there, and Ash Saint was the one actually getting more up the ground. So I'm actually more bullish on Ash Saint this week than probably a Gemma Houghton, but I think both can definitely profit.
Well, for sure. Let me add to your Saint conversation here. 11 kicks, 4 handballs, 4 marks. Had the goal, but 3 centre bounce attendances as well. So there's some midfield upside with Saint playing as a forward in game day squad. That's exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for a point of difference. You're looking for some big upside, and I totally get it. Saint is a good option. Bit of a, let's call it pod. Maybe people will start catching on as it goes along. But I thought week one and round one was very impressive for her, and definitely as a player that I had as a one to watch, at least for my squad. Just didn't quite crack in. But Gemma Houghton, very disappointing round one, I guess, by her standards, because we know how good she can be. Nearly averaged the 100 mark last season. So to score around that 40 wasn't fantastic to see, but I'm expecting a big bounce back. She's a fantastic player. She's just so skillful, and you can't keep someone down with that much talent for too long. So I think she'll run the ball, and she's going to have a fantastic game. But I like how you're hedging a little bit, because you know one's going to explode, and you're just hoping both of them play well at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think both could have good games, but I think one of them will have a good game. So why not have both? As what's the El Del Paso ad? The Carolinas Dos or whatever. I probably butchered it, but whatever that is. But yeah, so.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. Well, mate, how about let's talk about Ellie Blackburn because neither of us have picked her. She's a fantastic midfielder option in most rounds, but I guess I want to talk about last week. She had one of the best first quarters I think I've ever seen from a player. She was on track to score nearly 200 fantasy points. She definitely cooled off just that little bit though after that time period. Why she not a consideration? Is she close for you? What's sort of your thought process with her there, mate?
She's definitely a consideration. And I've actually got her in other formats, so I'm actually
Okay.
am hoping that she goes well. It's just when I look at with game day squad, the beauty of with it is you can pick your team each week, and when I look at the midfielders, I just think they're just a group of midfielders. I just don't know if I'm going to make many changes week to week. So like you've got Marinoff there, you've got Garner, Riddell, Rowbottom. I think Conti's probably in that boat now as well. And then you've got Laura Gardner as well, who I've got the All-Star of. So I'm not going to leave the All-Star Gardner out of my side. So it's like, well, how does Blackburn fit? And that's the thing with if Gainer Squad had 6 mid spots, it'd be so much easier. You'd be able to do it and then it'd be fine. But you can't because obviously 18. So it's hard to fit these midfielders in. And Blackburn's got a great matchup. This Port matchup is good. I know that it says 12 there, but I still see the Port matchup as good. But I just don't know how fit her. So I'll probably have her in other comps like the Challenger or Stardom even, but just don't think she'll be in my classic team, unfortunately.
Fair enough, mate. I reckon we've wrapped up game 1 very well. Let's get into game 2. We've got the Demons taking on the Lions. We've both gone with Kate Hoare here. You know, I thought round 1 was everything we wanted to see from her and more personally. You know, we had speculation she was going to get more involvement in the middle. We thought that that's going to lead to more fantasy points. And even still, she spent a bit of time up forward, but was able to get damage on the scoreboard and just do what she does the best. 17 kicks. Like, firstly, a massive, massive increase from what we saw last year in terms of kicks and just disposals. Of course, as I mentioned, the goal and 6 CBA attendances. And as you said, 3 goals just to go with it. So playing in the midfield, 6 CBAs. What did you think of Kate Hoare? And like, I know we would have spoken about it at the season. She was our rank 2 forward, but now with Bonnie Too Good gone, she now becomes the number 1 ranked forward for this season, and I don't see that changing.
Yeah, and quite clearly as well. I think she's the clear number 1 forward now. She's got a great role. It's obviously playing a few CBAs going forward. Her ceiling might be capped a little bit with Taylor Harris being out. She was playing forward and with Zanka down there now, sort of almost by herself in a way. I know Alyssa Banner's down there, but I think Kate Hoare will have to spend some time forward still to help out. But I think that with her ceiling capability, regardless, I think that she can still have games like she did on the weekend where she goes over 100 and scores a few goals, has some CBAs. That like 6 CBAs actually surprising is even that low in a way. I thought she might have had a few more CBAs, but it could be probably like that 50-50 split. But I think regardless, she's obviously got the ceiling. Obviously, we saw the 123 points on the weekend. I just see it continuing this week. So yeah, I think she's a great option to be putting in there once again.
And 92% time on ground as well. So rarely came off for a break. So just multiple and just so many opportunities to score. Bales, talk to me about Courtney Hodder. I know you were big on her in the preseason. There was, you thought she might get a midfield role, maybe even a tagging role, just tackling some of the best players in the competition at points throughout. Staying with Courtney Hodder this round, talk to me what you're thinking and expecting from her.
Yeah, so I was pretty bullish on her, and I think that on the weekend I didn't really see anything to sort of deter me away. Well, I've got a silver card and she still scored a 69 points. So I'm not exactly sure what that is as a bronze, probably like the 63, 62, somewhere around there, maybe 60.
63.
But 63, yeah. So I just think that Brisbane were bad. Brisbane were quite poor in that game. I know North were good, but also didn't help that Brisbane weren't too great either. I just think that they struggled to match North Melbourne round and North Melbourne sort of bullied them a bit in there. So I'm surprised that Courtney Hodder didn't get more midfield time early on. She was a bit more forward, but then she played more midfield and instantly you could see when she went in there, she brought that impact. I don't think Brisbane are going to take that long this week to realise that how much of an impact she can have around the ball. So I think she'll be in there early and often, and I think she'll respond. And I say respond, like 69 points for a silver as a forward is not too bad considering the lack of options that we've got. So I just think she's got capability to be a top 5-6 forward this year, and I think she's someone I want in my team, so I've got her.
Yeah, love it, mate. Well, I'll tell you what, but definitely upside there. 4 CBA attendances, even despite not being utilized earlier, and 7 tackles. So you know the damage she's going to do. The second she gets in there, she's going to get active. She's going to start scoring points. So don't mind the play. But Ali Anderson had a fantastic game, 134 fantasy points, and couldn't crack into either one of our squads. I do think it just comes down to how good some of the other midfielders played. And look, Gardner didn't have the game that we thought, but I'm still backing in Gardner. I think she's too good. And even Rowbottom had 123, something like that. But I just can't see myself benching Rowbottom at any point of this season. So I just think it's tough because, she played so fantastic in her first game, even despite the Lions not having a really good day at all. They really, really struggled, as you mentioned. But this is definitely a pod midfielder, let's call it. And she's fantastic. But if you can play her and you can get her on rounds where she's going to outperform some of those, let's call them more set and forget ones, that'll be the difference. And you'll climb up some of those ranks and definitely you'll reap the benefits of those decisions. So she's one you got to watch, but if you can nail the weeks to start her, she'll be a game changer for you for sure. Let's get into game 3. We're going to look at the West Coast Eagles versus the Essendon Bombers. Very, very sad. Bonnie Too Good. We said it before. We'll quickly say it again. She's out for 6 to 8 weeks at least. And just sad not to see her there, not to see her card there, because she definitely would have been if she was healthy and able. But we must move on. And you've gone Thomas this round. Thomas played so good on the weekend, mate. Got the bronze in there. What are we thinking? Why are you so confident in putting someone like Thomas in for 2 weeks running?
I don't think it's too much really to add with Charlie Thomas, to be honest. She's just so good. Even in a game where the ball wasn't as down in the West Coast defence is probably what we would have thought, because it was probably the shock that West Coast won. We probably all thought Richmond were due to start the season off well. We thought, they're probably the team that's going to rise, potentially top 4, if not just outside, and have a good year. But Richmond were probably the sort of, they shot themselves in the foot, really. There was a lot of ill discipline and stuff like that. But still, doesn't matter. Charlie Thomas was just did what she always does. And the thing that I love the most is she took every single kick in. And Tom, what do we like when they have the kick ins?
Mate, we love when they play on. Did you see my little post today?
No, I must have missed it, but we're probably thinking on the same line that Charlie Thomas thinks she had the most kick-ins in round 1. Is that?
She did have the most kick-ins, and she played on 100% of the time. So 8 kick-ins, 8 play-ons out of her 21 kicks in total. That's a fantastic little floor there, if you don't mind.
And when you're kicking that much, obviously, game day squad's fantastic at the 4 points when you kick. So the players that kick it more, that's another reason why Marinoff's so good in game day squad, is because she kicks the ball all the time. And the exact same thing. Doesn't matter using whatever, she just finds the ball, kicks it. And she's just the whole season.
Yeah, for sure. Well, mate, I want to talk about Jess Hosking, a player that I've gone to, a defender in game day squad for West Coast as well. But in round 1, we saw her crack 108 fantasy points. Sometimes you don't want to overreact to some players. They're going to play well. They're going to put up good scores. But there are definitely some indicators of when players are going to continue to play good. And I definitely saw some things that I liked. So firstly, 94% time on ground for Hosking in round 1. 4 CBA attendances, 2 goals, 6 marks, 5 tackles, 12 kicks. Did a little bit of everything. Just looks like a bit of a Swiss Army knife for West Coast on the weekend. I know they played really well, and that might have, contribute to that. They did have a really good game, their structure. But I'm really looking at Hosking here as a player that's, I think, going to continue to play well. Maybe let's call her like the Belinda Smith from last year, where she was just sneaky good all the time, and you could put her in a squad, and you'd pay some dividends there. So I'm going Hosking, brand new. She's debuting for my squad this round, but I really liked what I saw from her in round 1, and I'm going to continue to have a look at some of the metrics. But I'm hoping she's going to maintain some of that midfield time, and it's going to keep her score quite high as a defender for the next, at least for this weekend. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just be interesting to see if Swanson's back or not, which I imagine she will be. And we'll see how much midfield Tom Hosking gets. We saw Eston give up points to forwards last week, so even if Hosking does play a bit more forward and rolls up, I think she'll still score well. So I like the pick.
For sure. Well, how about some of the players we did not pick? Nance Cowan, Prasparkas, some very, very good midfielders who played very, very well in round one. Is it the same old here? Prasparkas,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just the same. It's just the same with like Blackburn and other players that we want to put in that we just can't quite fit in, unfortunately. So, they're just unfortunate. They're playing a line where there's so many good scorers.
For sure. Well, let's get into game 4 then. This is going to be Collingwood versus Hawthorn, and we have both gone with Tilly Lucas Rod. She had a really, really good game in her first one as a defender this year. I definitely see her going to another level in terms of fantasy points. I do think there's more for her and what this season entails. But, mate, talk to me about Schleicher. Maybe a little disappointing, I guess, by her standards, but we just know what she can do. We know how well she can play. And you're backing her in, and not only just doing that, but playing her silver card as well.
Yeah. So, and more of that's just because I got one bronze, and I want to put that in the starter comp, so just sort of to even it out across all the comps. But I'm still pretty confident. I think she was a bit unlucky to get what she score. I don't have it. I sort of on me at the moment. What did she score last week? Do you have it there?
Oh, I can get it for you, mate. I can definitely get it. She scored 68 fantasy points as the stock standard.
Yeah. Yeah, so 68 points. I think that could have quite easily been a 90. I think there was a few times where Collingwood probably could have used her for a little short +7 in game day squad. Obviously, it's the same +6 in other fights, but it's +7 in game day squad. You kick and mark. So she could have been used there a few times, and it's just a bit well. And I think a game like this where Hawthorn looked pretty good last week. I did say my hot take before the season started, posted on Twitter saying I think one of Hawthorn or Port Adelaide make the top 8, and Hawthorn certainly after watching that game looked like they were the team that definitely could be the risers this year. So I think that Hawthorn, the ball will be down defence a bit, which means more points potential for Schleicher.
Awesome. Well, mate, I want to talk about Casey Sheriff here quickly because I think she is the gem and the diamond in the rough that came out of the first round, and she's the perfect Bonnie Too Good replacement. Let's call it that. Because defender this year, she had 10 CBA appearances for Hawthorn in round 1 and 4 clearances as well. So indications are that she's going to continue to spend time in the midfield and she's going to continue to play well. 85 fantasy points. She hit the scoreboard. 2 goals, the 12 kicks, so a very good, healthy 12 kicks to 3 handballs. And, we favour kicks here at Game Day Squad, so we'd love to see that. But I just think she's someone that I'm going to take a bit of a flyer on. But I saw, and all indications in round 1, is that she's going to have a stellar season, and she might be the hidden gem out of the forwards this year that comes up and just climbs up those ranks into that top tier already. So I'm taking a bit of a punt, but I think it's one worth taking for what I saw.
I like it. It's, she's one that I definitely did. I got a silver. I don't have a bronze, which is probably why I didn't put her in, just because I've got a few other players there that I've got bronzes of that I guess I feel just as confident in a way.
Yeah.
Like Chelsea Randall, for example, we'll chat about her when we get to the Crows game, but I've got her bronze or whatever. But I like it, and she's a better pick than Kirsty Stratton, who's actually not playing, unfortunately for you.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, well, not this round at least. And tried to sneak her in last one. Couldn't get her in
at least I was a good mate for you, and I told you about it.
Yeah, I know. You're a better man than my other co-host that I would do shows with in Cal. He definitely would not have. But mate, Sabrina Frederick. I reckon this is the big talk here. Big talk, because was the second highest scoring ruck for round 1 and got beat by only 1 point by Mim Strom, which is a bit of a stitch up.
Yeah.
But 138 fantasy points went up against what we thought is the best ruck for women's Aussie rules this season in Ali Morfitt, and was dominant. And don't get me wrong, Morfitt started to get it going as the game went along. Maybe there was a bit of cobwebs to get out because she definitely had a healthier second half in terms of fantasy compared to a first. But Frederick was ready from the bounce. She dominated the game, but can't crack in to either one of our squads. So, Bales, I want you to talk about Frederick.
Yeah, she's right. She's very much in the mix, and I still haven't quite settled if she's not going to be there or be there because and Ali Morfitt there, but yeah, I was very impressed with that game on the weekend. I know Ali Morfitt was coming off essentially no preseason. She only played about 54% game time, whatever. But still, for the fact that Serena Frederick did that, and the fact that she copped of heavy hits as well in the second half, put up that big score. I'm definitely considering when you look at the matchups, like the Hawthorn matchup is decent. I know that it says there that they're sort of middle of the road, but I think that when you've got two rucks sort of combining in Jess Good and Bree Moody, you probably don't get a true reflection. Whether I think Frederick could go well. Mimstrom's got the Crows. Morfitt's got St Kilda. I think that Morph against St Kilda, we'll talk about that, but I think she's probably got to be there. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. But the rucks at the moment, I didn't think we'd have this many rucks sort of putting their hand up. You've probably got a good 4 or 5 at the moment that could easily be in your team each week. So
tell me about it.
She's just unfortunate not to be in there. But yeah, it's great for the game. It's good for when you only got one spot and you can only put on the field and then you got one on the bench. You can only put 2 in. There's 4 or 5 people that's where you can differentiate, get more extra points, catch up the ranks. So yeah, definitely something to consider. But yeah, Frederick's definitely someone I'm not rolling out of my team for the week.
Yeah, well, look, Morfitt was my number 1 ranked ruck for the season prior to everything in round 1. So I'm just going to stick with my guns, but my heart is telling me Frederick should be a start in my squad because of how well she played. But I'm not going to listen. I'm going to listen to my head. I'm going to continue to play Morfitt. And but look, she's like the close 3 in my opinion now, and she could crack into the squad. If Strom didn't have such a fantastic round 1, she might have even been my backup, but you can't bench Strom after what she did. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, some other good candidates here, but nothing too fantastic. Gilroy, Benucci, of course, in the midfield as well. But I just think not enough upside, in my personal opinion, to crack into the squad, at least for this round, but definitely some players to watch as the season and that game progresses. So let's get into game 5, Bales. We've got Richmond versus the Giants at that. And I've got a lot of players in this game. You, not so much, but Katie Brennan and Conti are 2 players that we definitely agree with playing. So I put Sheeran in, not knowing whether she's actually going to play or not. If she's playing, definite start. But
I don't believe she is. I think they actually said a day or 2 ago that she was going to be missing again this week, unfortunately.
Very, very tough. But I had her there because, look, if she's healthy, she's starting.
Yeah, she's not. She's not in. I just had a look at the team, so she's not in there, unfortunately.
Look, I think she's one of those players that when she comes back, I won't blink twice to putting her into my squad. She's too good of a defender to not start, irrespective of any little niggles and things that she's currently dealing with. So that's a massive loss for all of our defenses because we weren't able to get her into the squad in round 1, and now again in round 2, we're having to plug a little hole, at least for the meantime. But I've got the 3 players then.
I'll just quickly revert back. So we were talking about Kate Hoare in Melbourne. So Georgia Campbell came in for Melbourne. She's a bit of a taller player, so that's a good thing for Kate Hoare. Means that she might not have to be as reliant, but still just something tonight. And then Swanson back for West Coast as well. So
Swanson's in. There we go. She's finally back. That was a big loss for West Coast in round 1, but they still managed quite well. But Bales, talk to me. Katie Brennan, Mon Conti, in your squad for this round. What are we expecting in round 2 and against the Giants, who actually outperformed, I think, all of our expectations in round 1, the Giants. I think we thought they were in for a bit of a season, but wow, they play good.
Yeah, no, they're very good. Conti I don't think there's too much more to add with the Giants' good matchup. I just think that Conti's just got to be almost a lineup lock. She's maybe one that if she comes up against a Gold Coast or something or someone where she might get tagged, then maybe not. But whenever she's got matchups, just you chuck her in. Katie Brennan's the one though. People look at her score last week and go, they weren't too impressed with it, right? So she didn't have a great week. Like my gold, she only scored. I'm just pulling it up here. She only scored the 71 points, so that would have been in the 50s for a bronze, like mid 50s. And you're probably looking at that going, I probably want a bit more from someone that you probably thought was going to be up there with the forwards. But she gave away 4 free kicks. She missed 3 shots at goal, and she just was. Richmond was just not great moving the ball forward. There were a lot of times where the ball would land a metre in front of her. She didn't get a mark or anything like that. A different day, she could have had 100. Like she was involved heavily when they went through. So this is one where I think a few people are going to take her out of the lineup because they're going to look at the average and go, oh, she's not there. They're going to put someone else that had a good game. This is one, though, if you guys like what people watching here, the dedicated people for Game Day Squad, leave Katie Brennan in, because I think if there's ever a chance for bounce back, it could be against the Giants this week. So I think she'll bounce back in a big way.
Mate, I couldn't agree with that more. Katie Brennan was so unlucky to not have a good day. Like, I know some of it was off her own boot with missing the 3 set shots and some really good looks that you would expect her to nail in other games. So no real concerns there for me. So no concerns, because I'm thinking, as you said, easy bounce back. They were looking to get the ball in her hands. Every time they move forward, Katie Brennan is the obvious, clear number one target that they want to get the ball out in front, and her leading at pace is just, as you mentioned, some misskill execution and just some things that weren't going her way in terms of gameplay. On a different day, it's a fantastic outing she has, and it's a completely different story. So I'm fully on board with that. I'm not backing off that train yet. I think she's in for a big one. And Tani Evans was really good on the weekend. I'm putting her back in my squad. She's sort of like my bench. She was my 7th defender that I picked for this round. I'm not going to lie. So if there was going to be a player I would interchange out, it would have been Tani Evans. But I think
worried that she played forward most of the game? She didn't really go into defence. She was just pretty much a pure forward. Is that a worry for you, or do you think that she still might be able to go okay?
I don't look. It's a worry in terms of like if the Giants play the way that we expected them to play, I guess pre-season, that she might not get the ball in her hands a lot. But she was just really active. She had 8 kicks, 2 handballs, 4 marks, 3 tackles, doing a little bit of everything in this one. And she had 3 behinds. Yeah, she could have had one of those games. She could have had one of those games that we just spoke about, like Katie Brennan. So bit of an upside play here. Definitely a concern, though. Not going to say, as I mentioned, the 7th defender that I selected personally for this round. So we'll see. But I think there's some upside here. I definitely saw some weaknesses in the Richmond defense on the weekend, especially with some of their key contributors in Sheeran still out. So could open up some holes for Tani Evans to capitalise and score a bit more points. Just wanted to pull up this.
I was just about to say that,
season. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it is this season. I had it there as a little tag for last year. I forgot to take that one out. But all these averages, all these points you were seeing was from round 1.
Yeah.
Bales, let's talk about Game 6. The Suns taking on Carlton. You're doubling up here. I think Charlie Rowbottom, we won't get too much into her because she's just must start stud ball. She just does everything. Like, you can't not start her, in my opinion. She's one of those players for me that sort of set and forget. Won't move her irrespective of any of the metrics and the matchup data that we can see on the screen. But Daisy Darcy, she had a fantastic round 1. She's had a pretty solid game. You've now started her into your squad. Talk to me about that decision and what you're expecting from her on the weekend.
Yeah, so considering that she hurt her elbow, and I thought it was a dislocated elbow. I thought it was bad. I thought she was off for the game, and that was it. And she was off for fair bit of that second quarter, but still came back on. Tom, if you've got her score there, I'm not sure what her score was last week, but
71 fantasy points, mate.
Considering that she missed some of the game, that's not too bad. And considering that they got beaten pretty badly as well by St Kilda, St Kilda looked good in that game. So, so she's someone that I'm bullish on. Carlton, a decent matchup this week. So obviously last week they were pretty good for the Hawthorn defenders, obviously the 3rd best matchup. So I'm looking at it going, I think the matchup could be quite good as she's playing a bit more high up the ground. So she's not, you'd expect Gold Coast. I think Gold Coast should win this game. And if the ball's not down defence as much, normally we'd go, oh, okay, you don't want a defender like that. But I think Daisy Darcy, we saw her have a tiny bit of the stoppage work last week. I don't know if she got any CBAs or anything like that, but I think she did actually. I think she had about 40-odd%, if I'm not mistaken. So, so I think she rolls up from defence, plays a bit of midfield. So I think she can get involved anyway. The only worry is that injury, is if that carries over into this week. So she isn't, I guess, locked into my team, but I think that I'm pretty happy with her sitting there. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do this week.
Yeah, 5 CBA attendances, as you mentioned, 71 game day squad points, and only 53% time on ground.
Yeah, and she's normally upwards of 75-80%. So yeah, I'm expecting her to have a better score.
We could have just found my Sheeran replacement. How good's that? Excellent. But look the metrics in round 1.
Go someone else. Go someone else.
Oh, that's
I want to keep that 20-odd point lead I've got over you, mate. So.
Oh no, goodness. You had a good round 1, but hopefully I can maybe creep back bring it a little close, but it was pretty close, irrespective. And I know we made some different calls, so it was interesting that we made so many calls on different players, but it still ended up being quite close
Yeah.
down the end into the wire. But I'm nervous because Gardner didn't have her game yet, a good game, and you've got that all-star. So when she starts getting it clicking, it's going to be dangerous. It's going to be dangerous, our little head-to-head. But let's talk about North Melbourne and Geelong, a fantastic head-to-head matchup, mate. We have a lot of players coming out of this one. And look, Riddell, Garner, they're sort of like you set and forget midfielders. Riddell's just the ball user. She's just going to get a lot of disposals. She's going to get a ton of kicks, and she's going to play really well because of it. Had 141 on the weekend.
Just a ball
Garner is just, other than Noff, is the best player in the competition, and you could make a case that she is maybe better than Noff, depending on how they're going each. I know she scores. She's even more dangerous in front of goals.
If someone asked me who's the best player, who do you think win the W Best and Fairest award this year, I said Jazz Garner pre-season. So as much as I want to say Off, I think Jazz Garner and Conti probably up there as well.
For sure. Wow, Conti just did everything
what did Garner score? What did Garner score last week? Because I got a silver score. What was her bronze score? Oh no, it's literally on the screen.
125.
Idiot. I'm the idiot. I could have looked on the screen. It was up there. 125. She did that in just over 70% game time. Didn't play much the last quarter at all. Rested forward a bit in that third quarter and a little and when she was on the court in the last. So people looking at that 125 going, oh, it's a bit of a lower score. No, that could have been a 150. So definitely put her in. Don't be too worried at all. And 125 is still very good, even still. So
irrespective, it's very good, isn't it? Yeah, such a good score. And for not playing that amount of time, you're thinking this round could be even better. So I like your Kinney as well. Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say Carney, but I like your defender that you've got in that Webster. I don't.
Do you have a Webster? Is that by choice or is this by?
No, that's by just not having a Beck Webster. So if anyone watching has got a spare Beck Webster, bronze, silver, gold, whatever you've got, let's talk a trade because I got some dukes that we can do for a trade. Tom, mate, if you want to spare one as well.
I need an advantage. Don't do it, everybody. He's going to catch it. He's going to take over, and he'll never look back. Yeah. But you know why that you want a Beck Webster, and I put one in is because she had a really, really good round one. 14 kicks, 6 handballs, 7 tackles as well. Didn't get any CBAs, but 90% time on ground equaled 104 fantasy points for her, given it was against Melbourne. So, there was a lot of opportunities to score, especially playing down in the defense. But it was a competitive game either way. So I'm hoping that this is going to be another, I think, competitive game. Of course, I do give the edge to North, but I think they're going to hang in and abouts for a lot of it, and Webster's going to have an opportunity to score big. So I love that I have Webster. I didn't start her in round 1 and regrettably did not. So this round, I'm going to rectify that, and I got her into my best 22. So pumped about it. But talk to me about Emerson, of course, the kick-in taker for Geelong. What are we thinking about Emerson and her round 2?
Well, I think the fact that North... I know that North, they're a yellow in terms of for Brisbane last week, but North were like one of the easiest teams for defenders last year because of how much of the ball went side forward 50. And I know Liam's talked about some free kicks saying that they weren't using the ball as well, North going in 50. And I think that'll still, with the amount of times it goes in the forward line, I think it's going to continue. So I just think that North will probably kick a few behinds, obviously with a lot of scoring shots, the ball be down there. I think Emerson is just going to be a safe scorer this week and go quite well. So I'd like to have Beck Webster in there as well. And she's probably one, if I got her, does she come in for an Emerson or does she come in for a Daisy Darcy or something? That's probably what I'll weigh up. But I think the Geelong defenders this week, I think you should have at least one, if not both, of Webster and Emerson in your lineup because, it could be high scores for your defenders from Geelong this week.
Yep. Love it. But this game is just full of fantasy points. Alice O'Loughlin was very impressive as a forward in game day, scored in round 1, 97 fantasy points. I did have one, had a little consideration. I thought, maybe do I get her in the squad?
Yeah, suspended for the week.
Oh, suspended. Oh, goodness. I didn't.
You must have missed that, Tom.
What did she
do? Dangerous tackle on Shannon Campbell. It was in the third quarter, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So, only one game. But no, she's a sneaky pod that people might forget about after 1 week. So, mate, look at her next week.
This is a trade target this week. Get her in for
Yep.
next.
Yeah, buy low.
Love it. Let's
this
get
week.
into game 8. This is the game where you have the all-star, where you can flex on me. You've got Laura Gardner. The Swans are taking on the Saints. This should be a good one. Talk about Laura Gardner. You've got the all-star, but it's well worth, starting the all-star. Why are you so big on Gardner, and why are you going to continue to roll this out weekly?
Yeah, I just think Gardner showed last week that she's just going to continue. I think that first call that she played, it looked like she was going to go on for a 150. I think I messaged you and I sent you a screenshot of the Laura Gardner All-Star card, and then she slowed down after that, which was unfortunate. But I think that was more due to the fact that, for people that don't know, North Sydney Oval is not a very good fantasy ground to score at. We've seen a lot of low scores there. Like Gardner's didn't really score too many big 110, 120, 130 game no scored point games there. So I wouldn't look too much into that. I think that she'll St Kilda this week. I think she'll be able to go well again, and sort of go back up to that 120 plus that we know that she can do. So I think that from just watching the first quarter last week, just showed me that I think she's going to continue where she left off last season.
For sure. Morfitt, mate, into the squad, as we mentioned before. Didn't have a fantastic round 1, but you said you're going to back her in, and like
really
myself,
good matchup.
We're going to back her in. Talk to me about this one, why we're backing in Morfitt, and for a little bounce back, I guess, in round 2.
Yeah, I just think that they just managed her through that game, only playing about half a game. I think she'll play a bit more this week, maybe upwards of 65, 70%. She's probably not going to be up at the 80-odd% that she was playing last year. She's probably still be a little bit lower, but I just think that this matchup, Renee Karras and Simone Nolder, I just think Morfitt will be too strong for them. And I think there'll be a lot of hit-outs, a lot of disposals around the ground, maybe grabbing out of the ruck a bit, a few tackles. So I think this could be a bounce-back spot here for Ali Morfitt.
Yeah, nice. And I've gone with Wardlaw in this one. She had a really good round 1. Saints played really well. I thought they were very impressive. And I really like the fact that they... Sorry?
She marked everything. Like, just everything that came to her. She just she clunked. So, yeah, I like this pick.
Mate, and 8 marks at that. That's maybe leading the competition in round 1. But you're right. She was really clean. She looked extremely good. 14 of the marks, 14 kicks, out of the 8 marks, 2 goals as well. So damaging on the scoreboard, damaging around the ground. So love what I saw from her, and I'm going to get her in this round. I think she's well deserving of a spot. She had 104 game day squad fantasy points last round. So in a time where I think forwards can be hard to pick based on matchups, I'm looking at this one and hoping it's going to be a good one for her. We should see her hit the scoreboard quite well throughout.
Did she have any hit-outs last week?
I was going to mention, she gets a little bit of ruck work as well. 4 hit-outs on top. So a little bit of ruck upside with hit-outs. Damaging, looked really clean. I think I was pretty optimistic putting her into my starting squad because I thought all the numbers and the eye test definitely passed. Bales, let's get in to the last game of the round. We've got your Crows taking on the Dockers.
Look at the top averaging players. Look at some of the scores from the players in this game from last week. When was the last time we saw a game where the 5 players? I know it's after 1 week, but 5 players were going over 135.
Well, we had the 2 top scorers from last round in
top 4. Top 4. I think top 4. I reckon. I think was it top 4?
And then we had 3rd and 4th. Fourth and 5th place are also on the screen.
Yeah,
with Ty at 140 and Mim Strong with 139.
Is it it might even be the top 5 scorers? Is it top 5 scorers from last week?
Ash Riddell snuck in there with 142. So she's the 3rd, but then 4th and 5th is there, and then Hatchard was tied with 138 with 5 other players. It was a round with a lot of points, but we're looking at some of the best fantasy performers. You're right.
Yeah.
Talk to me, mate. Maybe let's not talk about the obvious. Let's talk about some of the not obvious. What about Randall? Let's get into your forward selection from the Crows this round. What did you see in round 1, and how come you backing her in and with that confidence?
Yeah, so as you said, Marinoff, obvious. Strom, I think after last week, I think you got to chuck her in. I think
Yep.
Ash McCarthy could be a bit of a pod. She had obviously top scorer from last week, so she could be someone you sneak in there. But we talk about the midfielders, though it's so hard to get in. But Chelsea Randall, she had over 90% CBAs last week, but I cop a bit of stick from in a group chat I'm in from people saying, it was always obvious he's going to put Randall in. Like I had a fantasy draft last night, and I took Chelsea Randall on my forward line of people like, that's no surprise. I would have put money on it, but she had over 90% CBAs, and then she went back and she took kick-ins, right? But when we look at the men's fantasy, we look at players that there's not many players that do that. You got Jack Sinclair, Tom Stewart, a couple of guys. We don't have many players doing that. And Chelsea Randall's doing it in the AFLW, where we essentially have no player doing that. And she's a forward as well. So the fact that she's playing in the midfield, whether the CBA stay that high is still question. Hannah Hatchard obviously didn't have many CBAs. She played forward for a lot of the game. But then rolled up. Tia Charlton didn't play. I think she's back this week as well, so that'll be interesting to see the dynamic. But if Chelsea Randall's getting CBAs and going back into defence, it is the Tom Stewart role in the AFLW. And I know she only got just over 60 points last week, but I still feel like she could do better than that if in this role. So I'm pretty bullish on her. I'm not calling her a top 3 or 4 forward. She might even be a top 5 or 6 averaging forward for the year. I think she'll be a top 10 though. I think she'll be definitely in the mix for your lineups each week. And I think this Freo game, I think Crows again will be quite good, but I think Freo will get their chances, meaning I think there could be some points back there for Chelsea Randall. So I like her as a pick.
Yeah, love it, mate. And how about talk to me, Emma O'Driscoll, one of the picks that a lot of coaches rolled with last round. Maybe a little disappointing in terms of her output, but yeah, you're going again, mate. What's making you go?
Yeah, a little disappointed. That was probably one of the biggest disappointments of the week. Like she only scored the 30 points, game day scored points last week, which is really bad. Probably the only one that I was probably more disappointed with was we didn't actually chat about the Dogs game, which is probably sort of worthy. Is that Georgia Stathis had like 10 points last week. That was awful. Yeah. She had only had 5 points in like on the official platform, whatever, and game day squad wasn't much better. So not great. But yeah, O'Driscoll. I look at that game, and they played at Windy Hill. It was windy. It wasn't great weather. Freo struggled. Well, so Freo didn't struggle. Freo played well. Sorry, Essendon struggled, I should say, getting the ball inside defensive 50, which meant there wasn't many points for O'Driscoll. My question is whether she's got the same thing she did last year with Ash Brazel back there, with Gabby O'Sullivan back there, a couple of names back there. Maybe she might not have this monopoly that she did last year, but I still think that she'll be a decent pick. And the Crows as well, you expect them to have a lot of inside 50s and some scoring shots. So I think Emma O'Driscoll can bounce back here. And if she doesn't, then this would be the probably almost last chance for me, because then if she doesn't go well this week with a few other defenders there knocking on the door, she might have to make way. So hopefully she can have a bounce back.
Yeah, I really agree with that. I opened the door a little earlier than yourself, but look, I've gone
one game. See you later. Get out.
One game. See you later. But look, she's definitely still up there, irrespective of that performance in terms of some of the defenders that I want to roll with. And her performance is a lot more encouraging than others, as you said. So it's not the be all end all, but one I'm going to be watching, and then one I know will be back in my squad at some point this season. Just not this round in particular, but I'm going with Runnels in this round. And the reason is she's just really active on the weekend. 10 tackles.
Yeah, good game.
She's turning into a potential hotter as for the Lions. Just a forward tackling machine, just locking it in, trying to get it in their forward 50 or creating a stoppage. That's what I'm hoping. So another little flyer here, I think. Like only one game, small sample size, but 86% time on ground, 91 game day squad points, and not too many disposals, only the 10. So her performance was very dependent on her tackles. Don't get me wrong. 10 is a lot, and you're going to score very well with the 40 that you get from that. But I'm hoping there's much of the same from her. There's going to be a lot of involvement, a lot of being around the ball, and that's going to lead to fantasy points. So Runnels for me, bit of a flyer, but I'm going to go with that one this round. But, mate, there's so many good options. This might be the game of the round. I don't know. This is going to be a tasty one. It's going to be a lot of.
I think fantasy game of the round it probably will be. I reckon.
For
I think
sure.
a lot of people.
The fantasy game of the round. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think game of the round. If I was to pick one, would probably be the North Geelong game.
North Geelong, 100%. Yeah.
Either or Melbourne and Melbourne and Brisbane. They can't afford to go 0-2. Melbourne had a good start, but a few injuries. We'll see how that goes. They're probably the two games that stand to me. But the fantasy game of the round has got to be this one.
It is, yeah.
And actually, the North and Geelong game as well is probably another good fantasy one with a lot of those players. So they're probably the two standouts.
Love it, Bales. It is time to give away soon. Well, everyone that's watching, firstly. Ebony Marinoff, All-Star is about to be given away. But Bales, let's talk about your squad. This is it here in all of its glory. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a good-looking squad.
You got me. That was hilarious. It was that was funny.
I thought it was coming up next.
Yeah, so weekly 14, mate. Weekly 10. I was 10 to mate. That's the disrespect. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the lineup. As I said, a couple of changes could be made. But yeah, besides maybe the ruck and maybe a defender spot, I think most of the squad is pretty much done.
Love it, mate. For me, well, of course, Sheeran is not playing, unfortunately, but Daisy Darcy is looking like the favourite right now to take her role there in the defence. But that's my squad in all of its glory. A lot of players in that last game. A lot of Freo players. I'm very much looking forward to this round of footy.
I'm jealous of the gold, Thomas.
Yeah, here. Oh, the anchor. Yeah. That's my anchor down in defence. And then, of course, the 2 goals in the middle. You know what I'm jealous of? I want that All-Star. I want that All-Star. So, mate, I don't think you should be too jealous. You've got a pretty good card, mate. But it is now time to do our giveaway. Fez, I'm not sure if he's here, but he asked me to put together the Wheel of Fortune. And I've done that. I've prepared. Here's the Wheel of Fortune.
I reckon I finished above Fez. It's disappointing I didn't get entered in time because this is something I should have entered.
Mate, well, you can enter. You never know. There might be some more competitions like this. Join the Game Day Squad Discord where you can be in the running to. We do Discord competitions every week where we give out a chance at packs, irrespective. But here's your best way to score some. And Fez, look at the names here. Look at the names. A lot of names. This is how many coaches have the chance to win
if I see Zeus Cannons come up winning this,
yeah, I'm here.
I call corruption. Yeah, Fez is here. There he is. Fez in the house.
Fez is here. Here we go. Well, good luck to everybody. That's been a part of it. Of course, I have my own selfish endeavor here. Hopefully, I win, but to be pretty lucky.
Hey, actually, I partly hope you win because then we could do a swap. Gardner for Marinoff. I'll do that.
Here.
Oh, Tony's Legends.
Our winner. Tony's Legends on our Discord. Mate.
And I know for a fact he's up there as well. So all these good coaches getting these good cards.
I know. It just made a really solid coach even better, which it hurts a little to know that because we're in the hunt for the prize card, of course, for the fact
that we got a silver Marinoff and now there's someone else around us that's got an all-star Marinoff is just Fez, mate. I know you're trying to do a good thing, but you're not helping me and Tom unless we won it. Then it would be good. But,
Tony's Legends, congratulations again. How good is that? He's going to be getting an all-star Marinoff for his squad for this year, which is definitely
congrats, Tony. Enjoy.
I'm curious. Who would have
there he is. Place? There he is. And Anthony just put in the chat as well, who's obviously Tony's Legends there. Oh, that's just cruel. You're putting out now. Great.
On another day, another day, you would have had it. Just not today. Just not today. Bales. Let's get into packs that we're going to open.
Now, if I can get a Marinoff out of mine, then I'll take back everything I said.
What would you like? Would you like the first pack or the second pack?
I did first last week, so you go first this week, I reckon.
I like that. I'm superstitious as well. I like to switch it up. So thank goodness we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
I'll go first. Oh no. Well, nothing.
So it could still be an all-star, but hang on, I have to zoom in on my full screen for me. Yeah.
Here we go. I'll see if I can enlarge it. Nothing there. We'll do the X. And we'll go around. Come on.
A few golds, though, which is good.
All right. It depends. You know what? A gold Noff would be nice. Let's go the silvers first. Alrighty. You're right. A few golds. Ooh, let's go. Come on. Kelly.
Neve Kelly, one of your favourites.
Last year. One of them. Big gold. Oh, goodness.
A few
The
Sydney
Swans
players here.
pack.
Just not the Sydney
Just not
players
the
you
ones
want.
we want. That's a tough pack. That's a
rough
tough
one.
pack.
Yeah, it's
Truly
a rough
is.
one. Hey, that is a bit like the pack I opened when I was on the phone to you earlier in the week. I opened an all-star pack and got 9 silvers and 9 were not great. So
yeah.
actually, Casey Sheriff was okay, but
here's your chance at redemption, okay? This is you're gonna redeem for us because I've done no good here, but you
really?
Well, that doesn't. It's not.
Yeah,
Everything.
and you just want to see the other nation actually give you more chances of something, but a few golds at least. No all-star though.
We'll go the silvers first. Yeah, you got a few golds, mate. Wow.
No, seven golds. Okay, I'll take that. Ebony Marinoff gold would be nice.
Not there.
Ooh, not the free one we want. I've already got a Hannah Stewart.
Sure.
Liv Vesley was good on the weekend.
Yeah.
Kemp.
This is the
Jamie
Saints
Lambert.
pack.
The Saints
Saint
pack,
little
yeah.
Saint Care package, right?
Just want a Wardlaw gold would be good to finish off here.
Oh, Bates.
Emily Bates, the gold's not too bad, but that was the Hawthorn and St Kilda pack.
Yeah, I know. They really, those teams wanted to hook you up there.
Could have been good for maybe Casey Sheriff gold or a Wardlaw gold, but we'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. But Bales, mate, that's going to wrap us up, mate. We are about to finish up. Our next show next Thursday will be same time. Not the same time, actually. It'll be a different time. It's going to be 8 p.m. We're going to go back to our normal time. This round, of course, a little bit chaotic. There's a lot going on. But there's some footy on tonight for everyone. If that are AFL fans, it's going to be a fantastic game, Bales.
Tom Stewart late out illness. That's a big out for Geelong. That probably sways me back to Port winning, even if I was going Geelong just so I was hoping Port would lose. But I think Port now win with that.
You're hoping they would lose. Well, I understand that. That goes deep for you. But
because a mate spoke to me last night and he said, looking for the finals. I said, the finals have just not got the same oomph for me. It's been over 2,000 days since the Crows last played a final. And the last time was a losing grand final. Losing grand final, you don't want that to be the last memory of a final. So hopefully at some point soon. But you got your Swans, so hopefully your Swans go well.
Yep, that's it, mate. But we'll be here Thursday, 8 o'clock. And we'll see you all then. It'll be the round 3 preview. We'll have a look at some of the players. We'll go through our must-starts, some people to keep an eye on, and the ones that we will be avoiding. So thanks, Bales, for coming on, mate. And we'll catch you.